did you get into this music? Like, what is it about this type of music that?
Well, the first time I ever heard the blues, and I didn't know that's what I was listening to, was in 1954. I was 5 years old. And that was in the last years of what they call Jim Crow in America, segregation. And a black woman that worked for my family as a cook and cleaner and whatnot, we used to call them maids, would be singing a music. She'd be singing, oh, one scotch, one bourbon, and one beer. And it turned out what I was listening to when she'd sing this stuff while she was working in the house, what I was listening to was John Lee Hooker's music. And John Lee eventually was the only one of the absolute immortals of the blues that I ever actually got to play with, which happened many, many years later in 1970 when I came back from Vietnam. But I realized when I was a teenager and started listening to the blues a lot that, yeah, what I'd heard as the very first live music I can remember was the blues. Like lightning, shining just like gold. Can you hear me calling you? Tell me, baby, where did you stay last night? Yes, your hair's all tangled, dress don't fit you right. Can you hear me crying? Ooh. Tell me, baby, what's wrong with you? You don't love me like you used to do. Can you hear me screaming? Play it. Who's been here now since I've been gone? A little bitty boy, derby on. How do I know, baby? He left his hat right here on my bureau. My hat ought to be. Can you hear me moaning? Ooh. Stop your train, let it move all right. Stop your train, let me come inside. Come inside, you baby. Smoke, stack lightning, just like gold. Lord, I'm getting old. My hair is turning gray. I'd have bet my bottom dollar you'd not treat me this way. Can you hear me? Whispering to you, baby. Smokes like lightning, shining, shining, shining like gold. Howling wolf got this song. Can't ever forget it. I hope you won't either. Thank you very much. Big shoes to fill not only symbolizes the shoes of the masters in the blues, just to say Muddy and the Wolf and John Lee and Fred McDowell and the other people, Sonny Boy Williamson and the other people whose songs I do, but the big shoes also symbolizes my father, whose gigantic shoes I will never fill. He's one of the great lawyers of the 20th century, any field, any country, anywhere. My father defended, among other in other cases, the first case of a doctor being charged with a homicide for performing an abortion after the Roe versus Wade decision. My father defended a member of the defendants in the Spock conspiracy trial. My father had Henry Miller's books unbanned in the United States. My father single-handedly fought off capital punishment in Massachusetts for 30-some years. His manual on jury selection remains the state of the art. He was the losing finalist in 2 different administrations in Massachusetts for a seat on the Supreme Court, including the seat of Supreme Court Chief Justice of the state of Massachusetts. I suppose also, as far as the negative traits in which I also resemble my father, a certain sense of disorganization of our personal lives would be one thing. It rebounded badly in both of our marriages. We both were married twice. I'm still technically married, but we've not really been. We've done our best. We've never let our children lack anything, but we have perhaps not been the most focused and organized fathers that we might have been. God bless him. John Kennedy was a young man, barely 42. Some people said that he would not last for long, but in barely 3½ years, showed what he could do. And but for fate, he would have proved them wrong. 'Cause he knew what cards to play one dark, uncertain day, when the Russians sent their ships to Cuban ground. He told them, stay at bay, I may blow you all away, I may push the button if you don't turn around. He was a dark, dark genius, lonely, haunted man, some people say. He was a dark genius, and I'll probably end up just like him someday. probably end up like him someday. Sadat fought the Israelis when he thought that he could win. They kicked his army right back to the Nile. But he found accommodation, made the peace again. Israel and Egypt came to reconcile. And the world's long-suffering eyes saw him win the Nobel Prize. And a few fanatics just couldn't let it rest. It was over all too soon. One bloody afternoon he lay dying with a bullet through his chest. He was a dark genius, lonely haunted man, some people say. A dark, dark genius. I'll probably end up just like him someday. Probably end up just like him someday. Now there's very few who listen, but I'll always speak my mind, and that's when I'll get my ass in trouble. Cause if oppression pushes you down and friends are hard to find, that's when I'll come running on the double. If martial law comes down and the pink shirt's all turned brown, you see me grim and silent, then you'll know I have said and sung enough. It's time to show my stuff, and I'll take a heavy toll before I go. Yes, I'll take a heavy toll before I go. Cause I'm a dark genius, lonely haunted man, some people say. I'm a dark genius. I'll probably end up just like them someday. I'm a dark genius, lonely haunted man, I know. I'm a dark genius. Probably end up just like them someday. Yes, I'll probably end up lying dead someday. The blues has always been a life for me during my entire adult life, as I began to understand that that's what I was supposed to be doing, you know. So I began to think for myself. But it's never really been a living until very, very recently. I've tried to make it a living, but I'm a very late blooming musician, and technically speaking, I'm only just competent. I'm not a virtuoso musician. Technically speaking, I haven't been of a great deal of interest to the music industry. One judge at the Blues First Battle of the Bands, the big blues challenge that happens every year in Memphis, said of me, good but not great talent, and he takes it as far as he can. I think that's probably reasonable. If you use a biblical metaphor, there's one parable where Jesus is talking about the 3 servants, and the master gives one of them 5 talents, and one of them 2, and one of them 1, and then he goes away for a long trip. And the 5 talents turned his 5 into 10, and the 2 talent person has turned his into 3. I'm probably the 2 talent fellow, you know. I'll do the best I can with it. Something like this here. I feel so lonesome, baby, hear me when I'm on. Feel so lonesome, baby, hear me when I'm on. I've been driving my down a flow, mama, ever since I've been gone. Yeah, I can't pass my night, and this horn won't even blow. Can't pass my night now, mama, and this horn won't even blow. Yeah, must be a bad disconnection, maybe somewhere down below. Yeah, I'm gonna hoist your hood now. I'm bound to check your oil. I'm gonna hoist your hood, I'm bound to check your oil. I believe it's about to boil. Oh, play it, Slim. Oh, yeah. Mr. State Police, please don't block my road. Mr. Highwayman, please don't block my road. Yeah, I'm doing a cool 100 and now I'm booked out and I got to go. Weep and moan. Ooh, hear me weep and moan. Who've been driving my down a Pope Buick, mama, ever since I've been gone. Keep on tagging with your disconnection. Keep on trying to picture wires. Keep on tagging with your disconnection, trying to picture wires. You know, come next, you. Yeah, when I'm mashed out on your starter, your spark plugs will give me fire. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Got my mojo working. Well, I worked all my life as a physical laborer. I've had this and that job that was not labor, but mostly what I've done is use my body to work, and at the same time I've always played. I played harmonica, and I played guitar, and I played mbira. I also played some flute. I played some percussion. I'm a professional tambourinist. And my body's starting to wear down. If you get me out on a job site, I'll still outwork most 30-year-olds. But I don't want to die as a laborer, which I would eventually do in obscurity. I'd like people to remember me for something. Perhaps that's vain, but I'd at least like my daughter to remember me for something. And I am an artist. Artists have that delusion that people will actually remember them.
In all those years.
And music is beautiful. I'd like to think there was something about me that's beautiful. You look at my face, there's more scar than face in this face. It is a road map, as you said. But there's still beauty in my soul someplace, and it seeps out.
Where does it come from?
Where does it come from? Well, some people would merely use the term God. I borrow the music. I borrow the music from the universe. What is the nature of God? God is unknowable. God, the word G-O-D, is merely a term that we humans have evolved in a particular language to denote something that we really can't know at all. All we can do is sometimes feel or glimpse where that music comes from. We're lucky if we can glimpse it. Sometimes we just feel it. It's from the stars, it's from the planets, it's from interstellar space. I can't even tell you where it comes from, because words don't actually describe it.
And in all those years of labor, driving truck, and did you feel like you were missing something? Was there something picking at you and sort of pulling at you?
Sometimes I would feel that. Sometimes I would also curse myself for being an artist, for not being able to. In my worst moments, I would curse myself for not being able to focus merely on living the American life, keeping your eye on the sparrow, making the American dream, creating your economic niche. I've never been good at that. As I said, I've never handled money well. And yes, sometimes it has ate at me that I wasn't doing my music in the way that I'm doing it now. On the other hand, I know just how lucky I am. I'm such a lucky man to have lived and experienced as much as I have, to have had the chance to. Thank God. Thank God. this old town with political connections, spread his wealth around, born into society, a banker's only child. He had everything a man could want, power, grace, and style. And I, in his factory, curse the life I'm living, and I curse my pot of tea. I wish that I could be, I wish that I could be, wish that I could be Richard Corey. Name was in the paper most everywhere he goes. Richard Corey at the opera, Richard Corey at a show. The parties in his mansion and the orgies on his yacht. He surely must be happy with everything he's got. And I worked in his factory. I curse the life I'm living, and I curse my pot of tea. Wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be Richard Corey. He freely gave to charity, had the common touch, and they were grateful for his patronage. Thanked him very much, but my mind was filled with wonder when the evening headlines were read. Richard Corey went home last night and put a bullet through his head. And I worked in his factory. I cursed the life I'm living, and I cursed my pot of tea. I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be, oh I wish that I could be Richard Corey. Sometimes I have cursed my life. That song isn't my own song. I heard that in about 1966 on a Simon and Garfunkel record. But I've been singing it ever since. It's 40 years at this point. And now I'm doing my best not to curse my life, but to make the best of what's left of it. See, folk music, in which I include the blues. The blues is a kind of folk music. It's not just something that's set in stone. It's not just a document. It's art. It's real art at its best, and it's art in progress. And that's what I do. It's art in progress. I'll take something from a song here and something from a song there, or a song tout entier, and I'll make it my own. I think I'm a poet. I'm a little bit obsolete in this world. I'm a text-oriented intellectual. I'm a poet. I'm a romantic. Life is an adventure, not just a procedure. Life is tragic, not just a damned comedy. I love comedy, but we are at the mercy of the gods. I say the gods again. That's just another term for something that's unknowable. We're at the mercy of forces or a force bigger than we can comprehend or put a word to. My epitaph on my grave will read, and this is a haiku, was a good old boy, worked like hell for wife and kid. Poet's epitaph. One of the last who would remember well both of our nation's 20th century wars, this queen, this mother, stood against the swell of German pride and Nazism's mad force. This was a royal of another day when dignity and noblesse stood for aught. And though the law had circumscribed her sway, for king and queen and country, Britain's fought. It must have been a pleasure to have known and lived and smiled and kept solemn with her. A glorious piece of history now is gone, a steady guidepost to the best we were. O England, for now cry your decorous tears, but know the throne shall flourish through the years. My father, at 18 and a half years old, dropped what he was doing in the United States in 1939 and went and volunteered for service with the British Navy. He served in the British Navy in the Mediterranean and the North Atlantic, until 1942, and then served the rest of the war in the American Navy in the Pacific Theater. If you go to the Royal Naval College in Greenwich section of London, you go to the Painted Hall, you will see, just as you go in and go up the stairs to the left, you'll see a monument in white marble on the floor to my father and 19 other young men who served when it was necessary to serve.
What do you see in the future, Slim?
What do I see in the future? I hope I get to stick around long enough to see it. The future, that is. If I was speaking realistically, I think my own country is going to go through extreme bad times. Extreme bad times. We have a government that wants to rule the world right now. The people that make our foreign policy have said outright that it is time for America to rule the world through the project of the New American Century. Rumsfeld, Pearl, Wolfowitz, these people want to rule the world as we accuse the communists of doing. They've said it outright. I hope that what I see in the future is that if the American people allow that to happen, the rest of the world will suffer for it. But I had a New Year's resolution this year, and that New Year's resolution was that every human being should have a miracle in his or her life. And it would be my hope that that miracle would happen collectively, and that miracle would be peace on earth, goodwill to man. first met, I didn't know just what it was. A stranger told me not to trust your love. I was so carried away, paid him no mind. But now I'm glad I saw the light in time. Little girl, I don't care no more. You can put your hands together if you want. I don't care what you do, I don't care no more. You had your way from time to time. Woman, you spoke your piece, I'm going to speak mine. The words you said were not true. I fought a losing battle, like all fools do. Little girl, I don't care no more. I don't care what you do, I don't care no more. The woman wanted convenience, but I want love. There ain't but one thing I did wrong. Think about her life, not my own. Little girl, I don't care no more. I don't care what you do, I don't care no more. Little girl, I don't care no more. I don't care what you do, I don't care no more. Little girl, I don't care no more. I don't care what you do. I don't care no more.